and welcome to Season 3, Episode 4 of KittyCatGO Live, where we discuss various topics related to traveling and adventuring with your cat. I'm your host, Emily Hall, and tonight we'll be chatting about safe car travel for cats. If you're watching with us tonight or on the replay, be sure to say hello in the comments and tell us where you're watching from. Questions are encouraged along the way as well. Let's go ahead and dive in. Our special guest for the evening is Lindsey Wolko, founder and CEO of the Center for Pet Safety. A longtime pet safety advocate, Ms. Wolko leads a mission that is personal to every pet owner. With a keen understanding of the pet industry, she authors safety standards for pet products, independently certifies pet products, counsels pet product manufacturers around the globe, and works tirelessly for consumer and companion animal safety. Ms. Wolko has a background in project and program management, as well as governance control development. Ms. Wolko holds a bachelor's degree from George Mason University, and she currently leads the research division of the Center for Pet Safety. Hello, Lindsey.
Hello, Emily. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I am very excited for you to share all of your insight and knowledge with us because I know as a community of people who are getting out there with their cats, that often involves car travel. And I know safety is a top concern for so many of us. And so getting your perspective and your insights on the safest ways to travel by car for cats, I think is so important. So thank you for being here.
Oh, happy to be here. Hopefully we can help some pet owners.
Yeah, absolutely. So to kick things off, tell us about yourself and your pets. I know everyone likes to hear about that.
Well, I don't have cats though. I have dogs.
Okay.
I have 4 dogs. I have a Cavalier, an English Toy Spaniel, and I have 2 Japanese Chin. They are very cat-like. The Japanese Chin, they're hysterically funny. But they are the loves of my life right now.
That's awesome. How long have you had all of them?
The oldest one I think is 9 this month, and I just brought home a new puppy over a Super Bowl weekend. Yeah, so a little Japanese Chin. She's about 3+ pounds now.
Oh my
So
gosh.
she plays just like a kitten does. It's his hair is so funny. They're so similar, but they make me happy. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congrats on the new puppy.
thank you. Oh, she's adorable.
You'll have to send me pictures.
I can do that. I can do that.
Well, tell us a little bit about the Center for Pet Safety. What is it and what do you guys do there?
So years ago, back in 2004, I brought a dog home. Her name was Maggie. She was an English Cocker Spaniel, and she needed a place to land. You know, I had a car full of dogs already, and I had no place to put her in the car. And I realized one day while I was driving, I was paying more attention to where she was in the car than I was the cars around me on the road. So I stopped by the local big box retail outlet, picked up a safety harness for her, and I had to slam on the brakes to avoid a crash one morning while she was in her safety harness. And all I heard was screaming. She was injured by this product, and that, as a pet owner, I was pretty angry because the product, it said it would, protect her and protect me in a crash. But the reality is not there. Pet owners do not realize how highly unregulated the pet industry is. And it's a significant concern. So I ended up, I joined the industry. I actually had 4 e-com stores and learned a lot. I went to the trade shows, talked to the manufacturers, and decided one day to do a pilot study to see, test crash worthiness of safety harnesses. Let's see. And we sampled, I think, 12 or 15 harnesses, and we picked 4 for the control group. One made claims of crash testing, the others made claims of testing. We developed a dog dummy that, could go through the tests, and engaged a lab, and we had a 100% failure rate.
Mm.
Those harnesses are not designed at that time. They're not designed to protect human life, and they're not designed to protect your pet either. So that kicked us off. I mean, I was really upset by the results. I felt um, I was very angry with the industry because they have all this marketing spin. Pet owners are
Mhm.
paying so much money for pet products. And if they could see what we see in the lab or the reports that we get from around the globe um, of problems, they would need an organization something like this. So we are a nonprofit. We work on, in the consumer behalf to test pet products. We establish standards. We have an oversight model so that the manufacturers that do certify with us, they have to check in periodically, and we have product review sessions. And so anyway, we certify pet products. So a long
Yeah.
story. It's a long story. There's a lot to it that pet owners never see. So
Yeah, well, it's very interesting. It's not something that I think most people realize or think about. I mean, like you said, we see the product packaging or advertisements, and a lot of times it's misleading. And I mean, we don't know any better. And unfortunately, you learned the hard way that a product was not safe. And I love, though, that you turned that negative experience into something positive like Center for Pet Safety and that you're making a difference.
I hope we're making a difference. It's just it's challenging because like I said, the industry is highly unregulated and they don't have to do anything. They don't have to participate. They don't,
Mhm.
they want to use marketing spin. We see it every single day. It's still out there. So it is challenging, but that's, we're hopeful to grow the mission over the next few years and hopefully expand beyond travel. So
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There are so many directions you could go with pet safety.
yeah, we're launching a new website soon. It's been a
Oh,
painful process, but it's going to have a ton of content. So hopefully it'll be a good resource for everybody.
awesome. Yeah, well, I'll be looking forward to that. That's very cool. Well, in your experience in testing all of these, different products, in your opinion, what is the safest way for a cat to travel in the car, even for short distances?
Well, typically, like, we'll just talk about the distance first, right?
Mhm.
Most crashes happen within 5 miles of your home. I think there is a statistic out there that they've got data on of this. So
Mhm.
short distances are just as important as long distances. You need to protect your pets. So with a cat, um, we strongly recommend one of the CPS certified carriers. We have examined a number of carriers in the past. And again, just like the harnesses, the marketing spin out there is a little crazy.
Mhm.
Manufacturers are, doing some due diligence, but most are not doing anything. They're just putting together a form follows function carrier for a pet and saying that it's suitable for the car. That doesn't mean anything to anyone. But if you have a CPS certified carrier, these have all been crash test certified by our organization. We independently certify. We are not part of the industry. We have no skin in the game. But you want to put your cat in a carrier and secure it based on the how we show it in. We have the test videos. You can go see the test results before
Mhm.
you buy. You check the sizing, make sure your cat will fit. But those are the safest products on the market right now, and we have scientific evidence to back that up.
Yeah, and so by carrier, you mean like an enclosed carrier, right?
Yes, so you need to contain your cat. Cats are famous escape artists, and we have horror stories from pet owners where they have used lesser type carriers. So some of them use the plastic carriers,
Mhm.
depending on how it's manufactured. Those carriers they torsion if you pick them up or if you get into a sudden stop or secure them incorrectly. They can actually torsion, and the cat it'll pop the door off, and the cat escapes into your vehicle. So when you open the door to go find, Fluffy, the kitty cat runs out the side of the door and right into oncoming traffic typically, which is a very sad situation.
Yeah, I've heard that losing pets in car accidents is not uncommon because they're not restrained. They get out of a broken window or an open door or something, and then your pet is missing.
Or worse. I mean,
Yeah,
I
right.
hate to be doom and gloom, but the
Yeah.
truth is the reports that we get are pretty gloomy sometimes. But yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. If you put them in a carrier that is designed to withstand significant forces,
Mhm.
they your cat should not be able to escape that carrier. We put these products through their paces and we test. We use test conditions that are used for child seats, but we evaluate the products differently because it cannot pass this test as a child seat test. You
Mhm.
have to develop another standard and evaluation criteria, and that's what we did many years ago. Subaru of America sponsored our early testing and the research that we did, and we found through that through those tests, we developed the criteria for pet carriers and for harnesses and crates and booster seats and all those other things. But you have to understand that these tests are really violent, and if they can hold up to these tests, your cat should be pretty safe, and they help protect you too. So
Yeah. So in addition to the carriers that are out there, I'm seeing a lot these days of like booster seats where the cat is tethered in and different devices that are not an enclosed carrier, but like harnesses, tethers, booster seats, that kind of thing. What are your thoughts on those for cats? Are any of those crash tested? Are they suitable?
in my opinion, I believe cats, because they are structured differently than a dog would be.
Mhm.
Temperament's different. I believe the cats are safer enclosed in a fully in contained, fully in a carrier. I We have concerns about booster seats in general. We have concerns about the designs of them that allow the pet to be connected directly to the booster seat. Never,
Mm.
ever, ever connect your pet directly to a booster seat.
Hmm.
Those connections are not designed to withstand the forces of a sudden stop.
Hmm.
Um, we had one carrier years ago, or I'm sorry, one booster seat years ago, and it's still on the market. Um, the connection point, if you've ever been to get your car fixed, the local place, they give you that little tag with the little tiny aluminum ring on it.
Mhm.
That's what connected your pet to that car seat, and
Oh,
it was ridiculous. It was like bending a paperclip. So,
yeah. Wow.
mhm.
Yeah, that's not something I guess I really had thought about is the connection point between the tether and the booster seat or whatever you're connecting your pet to.
Yeah, we've actually scientifically proven that tethers are dangerous. They actually increase the risk of injury. We have a video that kind of helps describe what happens. But essentially, the pet is launched, and if that tether were to hold, most of them don't. But if the tether were to hold, the pet's clotheslined, so it actually snaps the spine and
Mm,
it increases the risk of injury. So we don't recommend tethers. We don't, booster seats are questionable. We still don't have any that are certified, but you need to learn more about the products that you're purchasing and where the dangers are before you buy them.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So you've mentioned some statistics and things on your testing, the products, car accidents. Do you have any statistics you can share regarding pets and car accidents to kind of put all of this into perspective?
So this is a tough question. We get asked this a lot. No jurisdiction in the United States tracks pets in crashes. They
Mm,
may be a notation in an accident report.
yeah.
We know in the fatality database with NHTSA, they may be in a notation in the bottom of that, or there's a checkbox that said there was a dog in the car or a cat, a pet in the car.
Right.
So those statistics do not exist.
Mm.
We know that there are outlets that may have better data. So, we look to the insurance industries, we look to the veterinary industries. We're very hopeful that we can glean some information from them, but to date, they refuse to share anything with us, or they're unable to share anything with us because of the way it's categorized.
Yeah.
I will tell you that the reports that we do get are heartbreaking. So that's the challenge. I mean, I don't want to make this a doom and gloom podcast, but the stories that we get, if pet owners heard these stories, they would run, not walk, to buy a certified, CPS certified product to
Yeah.
protect their pets. A lot of fatalities, and that includes the
Mhm.
driver, the passengers, includes the pets being ejected, the pets hitting the back of the seat. The work that we do will save lives. It could save you and your family, your passengers, and give your pet the best possible chance of survival in a serious crash.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I mean, me included, I used to let my cats be free in the car. Years ago, I just didn't think about it. I was young and stupid. And I they would sit across my shoulders, sit in my lap as I drove. And they were just so comfortable and happy. And I was like, oh, this is great. I get to cuddle with my cat while I'm driving. Yeah.
Don't do that.
I
Don't do that.
guilty of that, like, "Oh, well, that won't happen to me," right? Like, I think so many people are guilty of that in so many areas of our lives, and we think, "Oh, that's terrible, that's horrible, that won't happen to me."
Exactly.
And
And we hear
until it
that.
does, right?
We hear that a lot. I
Yeah.
never knew this was a problem. I never knew products weren't tested. I never knew. And, you're talking to someone who's been sadly impacted by,
Mhm.
a poor performing product, and, they've got collateral damage on their hands from the pet, for the pet, and vet bills. And, some of the vet bills we hear about, oh my word, it's not just a bump or a bruise. And, again, I don't want to be doom and gloom, but I mean, paralysis is a big issue. And sometimes you can't reclaim the pet from these types of incidents. So
Mhm.
it's really important. I mean, you don't want to spend, $25 on a carrier and it says it's suitable for the car. And then sadly you get into an unexpected crash, right? Nobody
Mhm.
expects them to happen. And now you've got a $15,000 bill on your hand, and the manufacturer is completely unaccountable for that. They're not going
Yeah.
to help you pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's why it's so important, I think, what you're doing, the work that you're doing, and educating people about this. Because like I said, I mean, I was guilty of it. I've thankfully didn't learn the lesson the hard way. Um, but I now keep my cats in enclosed carriers, and I always try to, um, I mean, educate people on that topic as well because it's so important. I mean, getting in the car is something we do every day. I mean, even as humans, right? It's a dangerous thing that we all do. We wear seatbelts. Our cats should be protected as best as they can be as well.
Yeah, and I think pet owners generally, they feel that they're protected, right? They're always saying, "I don't care what happens to me. It's I want to make sure Fluffy's okay. I want to sure my cat's okay or my dog's okay." But in a vehicle, you have protection devices, safety devices, seat belts and airbags and crumple zones and all these things that have been developed to protect the human vehicle occupant.
Mhm.
But that doesn't necessarily apply to the products that you buy for your pets. There's
Mhm.
no federal mandate to test anything that says it's appropriate for travel.
Yeah.
So, not all the manufacturers are, I'm not trying to say everybody's bad. But there's a big focus on the margins for these products and making sure that the retailers make as much money off of pet owners as they possibly can. And so, just do your homework and come to our website and check out the carriers that are certified. They are formidable.
Yeah. Yeah, so, um, kind of leading into that, you mentioned the rigorous testing and things that these carriers and safety restraints go through. Can you share a bit about what the testing process is like and what your qualifications and everything are for certifying a carrier?
Oh, sure, sure. So, like I said, we use uh, the test standard. It's Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 213. We chose that because that's what industry was using when we first started. They could have gone with a different standard, but that's the one they chose to market with. And so we're like, all right, if you want to do that, that's a tough test, but let's try it. So it's used for child seat testing. So the crash conditions are the same, but the evaluation criteria is a bit different, as I mentioned earlier. So we look at things like the overall structural integrity of the product, the closures, the stitching, how the product works with the vehicle safety devices. So does it connect via latch anchor, the child seat anchors, or does it connect with the seat belts? Do we need a stabilization strap? Usually that's the shoulder strap that comes with the product. But we have developed test dogs and test cats for use in our work. Um, for the carriers, they're largely ballast weight. And so that means it's just a weighted simulant. There's no electronics, there's no data that we're going to generate other than the video data and the measurements we take during the test. But we put the carrier on the sled, we insert the cat, our test kitty, make sure it's connected appropriately. We actually have the manufacturer check the setup so that they can confirm, yes, this is what we intended for. This is how it needs to be connected. And then it's almost a 30-mile-an-hour crash simulation. It's explosive. That's why the products that can hold up to this, they are formidable. These things are not lightweight products, but with that and with the due diligence that comes to create this type of a product, their price points are a little bit higher.
Right.
But yeah, we look at them as investment pieces. So you spend a little bit more, but if you are in a serious incident, you'll save that money and then some from
Mhm.
vet bills.
Yeah, absolutely. So 30 miles an hour, and you're saying, like, the results can be pretty bad for carriers that don't pass the testing. So I mean, many
And
of
it
us drive much faster than that too.
Well,
It's kind
you
of
would think it sounds like it's a very low speed, and we hear this all the time. "You're only testing to 30 miles an hour?" Okay, you gotta understand, if you took a car and drove at 30 miles an hour into a brick wall, that's an
Oh,
explosive test, and
yeah,
that's
and I mean, that's what I'm saying is the damage that can be caused at just 30 miles an hour. I mean, that's crazy to think. We all think, "Oh, well, that's not very fast," but even those slow speeds can be really dangerous and damaging.
if you were to watch this, I mean, the whole building shakes. When we're at the lab,
Wow.
it is an explosive test. It is just, I wish we could have pet owners attend these tests with us because they will attest, that they'll go, "Oh my God." We've had a couple from our consumer advisory board attend, and they were just blown away. And, the whole building shakes and rattles. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's hard to develop a product that will absorb these forces and make sure that the stitching works together, that all the components of the carrier work together.
Yeah.
And that's why the work we do is very telling. We've got a lot of the I think on our website we have the video footage from our early studies that Subaru sponsored years ago, and you can see all the failures. You can see all the failures there, and they're not pretty, but we learned an enormous amount.
Yeah, so that is a question that Chloe, one of our viewers, just asked if there are any videos of the test that can be watched.
Yeah, so if you go to centerforpetsafety.org, you can, if you want to see the products that have passed testing, go to the CPS Certified tab. It's in the upper left-hand corner of the navigation. If you wanna see the studies, you would go under test results, and then you would see the studies. So we did studies on harnesses, crates, carriers, and we did a pilot study on booster seats. So you can see exactly what I was talking about earlier about the booster seat issues. And, you'll see a fair amount of harnesses fail testing. And the carriers are very telling. We had one brand, they used a basting stitch. If you sew at all,
I
they
do
used
not.
they, they used a half an inch basting stitch to hold the carrier together. And we were like, you've got to be kidding. And right on the box, crash tested for your safety. Really?
Mm.
Really?
How can companies claim that they're crash tested if they aren't?
Well, they could have crash tested it, but
Oh, it
what are
doesn't
they
say they
doing?
passed it though, right?
That's well, they use it as marketing spin, and that's what we keep telling pet owners.
Yeah.
You've got to be wary of the marketing spin on this because
Mm,
we know of brands right now that, like a harness brand, says it's crash tested, but in the teeny tiny fine print, it only says, "Well, only to 35 pounds." Well, if you're gonna put a 75-pound dog in that harness, youch. Same thing happens with carriers for cats, right? These products just fly open.
mhm.
The simulant we had in one of them was we'd used test kitty that we had. It was the ballast weight, and the whole carrier just opened up and kitty went flying. So yeah, it's not a joke. I mean, I try to make light of it because it is such a serious topic.
Yeah.
But if you could see what we see, oh my word, you would not spend money.
Yeah. Well, Terry, one of our viewers, says that she's grateful for your work, that you've helped her make the decision to invest in sleepy pods for her cats.
Yeah, they Sleepy Pod is great. We've got several brands that are now CPS certified, but Sleepy Pod was the first.
Mm,
They are light years ahead of many many other brands. But we've got some great carrier products out there now. So we've got Sleepy Pod, we've got Paravel, we've got Away Luggage has a carrier certified with us.
hmm,
Digs. I mean, we're just, and we've got another one coming in. I think it's scheduled to be delivered next week for testing. So we're in the lab monthly now. So we're taking a look at products on a regular basis, and that one is a designer type carrier. It's a beautiful product. So we'll see if it
yeah.
passes.
Yeah. That's what would you say, I guess, is the percentage of, or maybe a rough estimate percentage of the number of carriers and safety restraints that are tested that pass versus don't pass?
You don't want that statistic. You don't want that. That's why we have our list, right? So we found over time that we get better participation in the program. So the CPS certified program is voluntary.
Mhm.
We found that if we do not spank or shame the brands,
Yeah.
they are more willing to work toward developing safer products and talk to us about guidelines. We've probably talked to 20 brands so far this year that are working towards certification. We have others that are in the wings that are going to be certified as soon as they get all their production items and we get our final inspections done. Um, but so if it's not on our CPS certified list, it has not passed testing. And so that's the best way for pet owners to check it out. We have looked at a lot of products, but it's in the consumer interest for us to be a little less um, combative with the brands. Like when we did our
Yeah.
studies, that didn't go over really well with industry. Um, we understood that, but it had to be done. Surprise.
No one likes to be called out.
No, and we could, there is a possibility that we could, do other examinations down the road like that if we have the funding
Mhm.
in place to do them. Um, but they are really eye-opening. But yeah, if it's not on that list, don't buy
Yeah, so I did just drop in the comments the link to where you can, watch the crash result videos, And I am also dropping the link to the list of certified carriers and safety restraints so that you all can go do your research and find the best option for you and your cat or dog.
Yeah. All pets, I mean, they're all, they're all valuable companions. And that's the thing. It's like we want to protect you, your family members, and then not that your pets aren't family members, but we have to give the pet the best possible chance of survival.
Mhm.
We don't have the simulant finished to where we can measure the impact on the pet. We can look at the performance of the product. But it takes a lot of money to build the equipment we need, and a lot of funding needs to be found so that we can do the extra projects and the next steps. But we're trying to move things forward. We're looking into toys right now. We've been looking into toys for a while. Collars, leashes, walking harnesses, things like that. So we've got a lot of stuff that we need to do,
Mhm.
but without the funding, it's very difficult for us to move forward. So
Yeah. So that was another question that came up was what is next for pet safety? So I guess
first,
toys,
I have to
harnesses, leashes.
first we have to get through the new website. So the website that you're looking at, the link you have, the links will still be there, but we have engaged a new design team, and they're working to develop a brand new website for us. It will have a lot more information on it from general pet safety, lots of good resources and content. Um, we will have, we're launching a new video series coming up soon. So that it's everything takes time. And
Yeah.
it is such a struggle because most pet owners don't realize when people talk to Center for Pet Safety's founder, I don't take a salary from CPS. I actually work a second job. I work a full-time
Mm.
job in addition to this, but they are in the consumer advocacy space and they get what we're doing. And so if I need to go supervise tests at the lab in, the afternoon, absolutely go ahead. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a long, long road. I've been doing this now for 12 years this year.
Wow. So that you guys have been around for a while then.
Yeah, so officially we launched in 2011. Um, but I started this mission back in 2004. I didn't realize that that's the mission we were going to be on, but turned out that way.
Yeah. Um Chloe is asking, where does the main funding come from for the Center for Pet Safety?
So we have pet owners that donate. We have some that are very generous. But volunteers. We do a lot of voluntary work. I volunteer my time with the organization. We have a part-time, contractor who helps, manage the social media because it's a lot of work, and my focus needs to be on working with the brands, talking to them, getting them educated enough to where they can move forward with testing.
Mhm.
Um, so that's a challenge. So I do a lot of voluntary time so we don't eat through any of the donations we get.
Yeah. Well, no one can say that you guys are um in it for the money or biased or anything. You're like purely doing it for like the good of the pet industry and the pet community, which I think I don't know. That means a lot, I think.
Well, we're not, we're doing it for pet owners. I mean, that's
Yeah.
I was impacted when Maggie was hurt, and I was so angry that a manufacturer could tell me how great and safe this product was. And I, like you, when you traveled with your cat on your shoulder, right? My dogs, they were secured in these cheap crates many years ago.
Mhm.
And now that I know what I know, I'm like, never again.
Yeah.
But yeah, you the manufacturers with the marketing spin, it's just it gets stuck in my craw all the time. I'm like, I cannot stand this.
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. So When they, engage and they want to make a better product, yay team. But we're still seeing a lot of brands marketing things as crash tested that we know fail testing. So
Do you see any brands that maybe fail, but then improve on their product and come back and try again?
yeah, so that's part of the learning curve. So there are due diligence tests that the brands run, and we have resources we either refer them to, or they can come back. They'll typically start with a prototype. It's just how things work here. They come up with a concept. We meet with them. We talk to them about what areas that they need to focus on. Some cases they will send us their prototype products to take a look at, because this is in the interest of the mission, right? We serve pet owners,
Mhm.
and their brands some of them are very, very active. So we eventually get to the point where they're ready to test. We evaluate the product, do preliminary evaluations, and we'll set up a crash test, and we'll see how it goes. And again, the due diligence portion of this for some of the brands, some of them are more advanced than others,
Mhm.
but they all have the same goal, at heart. They want to provide protection and focus on safety. But they do come and they retest and they have to make changes. We don't allow them to just do 3 tests of the same product and see if one time it passes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we do work with them to some degree in the background. We're still at arm's length, so
Mhm.
they can't influence the decision making just because they're very nice.
Well, that's good.
That doesn't happen.
That's a good thing. Um, if someone wanted to donate to the Center for Pet Safety, where could they do that?
So there should be a donate button on our website up in the upper right hand corner. I think it's an orange donate button.
Mhm.
Donations are definitely appreciated. We have expenses. We're, trying to keep the lights on and, move things forward. And the more money we raise, the better. We need to replace our test simulants, our test dogs and test cats.
Mhm.
We have other studies that we really need to launch, um, to benefit pet owners. And we have to build and design a new test equipment to conduct those tests. So all of
Mhm.
that comes at expenses. And you can find our financials online through the IRS, and you can see, most of the money that we do earn goes toward test fees. So, we're not sponsoring anybody's salary. We do have to pay contractors from time to time to help out. But yeah, donations are definitely appreciated so we can move the mission forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, you've talked about the little crash test cat and dog that you have. How did you develop those? What are like how do you come up with a little simulant dog and cat?
Well, the first one was a test dog, because we were looking at travel harnesses for dogs because of Maggie. But it did research, went to the American Kennel Club's data, and I found, large breed dogs were the most popular sizes. So we settled on, a boxer. I want to say it was a 55 pound boxer. It was based on the standard. We found the breed standard and it had a weight limit in it. So there's a lot of research that goes on behind the scenes. I'm very analytical to a fault. It's a huge problem. Um, but then, at that
Sounds like
point,
it's a benefit in the field that you're in.
well, it can be annoying too. But yeah, so we engaged some engineers and they helped us with the first version for the pilot study that we did. And then we found very quickly that that dog was not going to hold up. We actually had to rebuild him once or twice just for 4 tests. He
Mm.
just didn't. He just wasn't going to hold up. So we have a family friend who is an engineer with NASA, and I made a couple of phone calls and begged and pleaded and said, "Hey, could we borrow your engineering brain? This is what we need. here's, the center of gravity, this is the size, this is the weight, this is what we're trying to do with it. And so they helped us develop a model for, the design for the first dog. There's a lot of work that, like I said, a lot of work pet owners never see. But that's how that came about. But those simulants that we currently have, they are 12 years old, and we need to replace them, preferably sooner than later, because you can see by the video results that you'll find in those crash tests, they take a beating. So yeah, we worked with a group out of Michigan, and they helped us design our next, our V3 dog. But they had to, they pulled we did the due diligence test on the new dog, and then we walked to the parking lot, and they said, hey, we're really sorry, but they had to end the engagement with us. We were a grant recipient, because there were changes going on at the corporate level. So it was pretty devastating to us. So we really do need to engage some help from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you have pictures of the test dog and cat on the website?
I think we do. I mean, you can definitely see them when the carriers break; they go flying.
Do they have names?
Oh, we talked about that years ago as an opportunity. So I don't want to get attached to, we put them, and that was the funny thing. Everybody's like, why did you put them and make them look like we used stuffed animal covers, because there's especially with the dogs, there's a big structure there. They're resilient, and but we wanted pet owners to kind of see their own pets in those cats and the dogs, so they could say,
Right.
oh, that looks just like my kitty cat. Yeah, so they would hopefully engage a little bit more. It's tough because nobody thinks this will ever happen to them, like you said earlier.
Yeah. I think education, it's important. Getting the word out about what is safe and the dangers that are inherent with letting your cat either roam free or using a carrier or safety restraint that isn't tested. I think a lot of it is, I think nobody has ill intentions. Nobody wants their pet
Right.
to be hurt or injured in a car accident or get lost or whatever. I think it's just ignorance, and I don't mean that in like a mean or negative way. They just don't know. They don't know better. And so when we know better, we do better though, right?
Right. And
Hopefully, at least.
yeah, but to some degree, you're at the mercy of the marketing. There's
Yeah.
no one looking at, this product to say, hey, did you really crash test this? What are the standards that you're using? They just don't exist in the industry. So just because it makes claims doesn't mean those claims are true. And that's a huge struggle. Pet products are not classified as consumer products. So, you think Consumer Product Safety Commission, you think, FCC or whoever would have some governance over them. Nope, not at all. Unless a pet product injures you as a person, there's no place to report it. And manufacturers don't want to hear about it if you have a problem. Most of the ones that we hear about.
So going back to the claims that companies are making on their packaging, what kind of mark or wording should people look for that does mean that they passed the crash test, that they are certified?
So as part of our certification program, we allow the brands to use our seal. We actually develop custom seals for every product that's CPS certified. So you look for our logo, and you will know that that product has passed our testing. You can come to our website. Like I said, CPS Certified, go to the CPS Certified tab. And you'll be surprised that there aren't that many brands that are certified because the industry is so highly unregulated. But you want to look for our logo, look for Center for Pet Safety. and you know that those products are independently tested in the consumer interest, in the interest of your pets, and the independent part of that, I think, is really critical for pet owners to understand that we have no skin in the game. We're not making money off the products.
Yeah.
So this is all for you, making sure that you and your pets are safe.
Yeah. Well, I it's been said a couple of times in the comments to thanking you for what you're doing, and I just want to echo that. Thank you for what you do at Center for Pet Safety. I know that it means a lot to me, and I definitely feel a lot more comfortable traveling in the car with my cats knowing that I'm using carriers that are CPS certified, and gives me that extra peace of mind, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you found some of our work helpful. So protecting everybody, that's our goal.
Yes, absolutely. Well, to close things out, do you have any other final safety advice for traveling in the car with cats?
So I think, one of the things, I'll just mention this in passing, but one of the things we get asked a lot from cat owners, even small dog owners, when we're using a carrier, do we connect the tether inside the carrier? There's usually an escape, the little tether
Mhm.
that's connects to the inside of the carrier. Do we connect that to my cat's collar or harness? And our answer is always, when you are in active travel, meaning that the carrier is in the vehicle and you are moving, or if you are using the carrier on an airplane and you are moving, you're flying, actively flying, um, do not connect your pet to the tether and the internal tether of the carrier.
Hmm.
But when you get to your destination, and you can open the carrier just enough to where you can get your hand in there and then connect it, because that will help your pet, protect them from escape. So if I'm on a travel, I went to pick up a puppy a few months ago, and she was not connected, but I was able to connect her so that I could feed her.
Mhm.
I can open the carrier a little bit and give her water and her food without worrying that she's going to run down the hallway and escape in the airport. So
Yeah.
same applies to traveling in a car, and just
So
word of
is
advice.
is that for the same reasons that you mentioned that you don't recommend the tethers like as a safety restraint just in general because of the danger? Like if you were in a car accident, even if your pet is enclosed in a carrier, there's still the danger of that like tether snapping their spine or whatever that you mentioned.
Different danger. So there you have
Oh,
a
okay.
danger of entanglement or strangulation in a carrier
Mm.
if you connect them, because sometimes they get nervous and they reposition and they spin. And we've had
Mhm.
reports come in, multiple reports come in where the pet inside the carrier was connected, and they got all tangled up in that little internal tether.
Mhm.
So different concern, but still a safety issue. So passive travel, no problem. Meaning you're not moving in an active, you're not actively moving in a vehicle. But if you are, parked and no problem, then you do want to connect your pet. So
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Well,
um,
Lindsay, thank you. This has been very informative, and I thought I was somewhat educated on the topic already, but I know that I learned a lot tonight, and I hope those of you who are watching either tonight or on the replay that you got something out of this. And be sure to check the Center for Pet Safety website. I'm gonna put that up on the screen, centerforpetsafety.org. And then they also have an Instagram at Center for Pet Safety. So you can follow them there. And yeah, if you have any final questions, definitely drop them in the comments. I'll keep an eye on that as we wrap things up. And I am going to drop the link one more time in the comments to the Center for Pet Safety website. All right. Well, thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And thank you for sharing your expertise. that's it for tonight. If you have any more questions or want to continue any more conversation, be sure to join the Kitty Cat Go Adventure Team Facebook group. And then also mark your calendars for next month's episode of Kitty Cat Go Live for Wednesday, May 10th at 8 p.m. I will be talking with Rachel Maylock. Her company is called Battle Woman, and she does self-defense and personal safety for women. And with so many of the Kitty Cat Go community being women who are out hiking alone with their cats and things like that, I thought on the heels of this safety talk for cats, we should talk a little bit about personal safety, protecting ourselves. So she's going to come and talk about some self-defense and personal safety tips for women who are out hiking and adventuring by themselves. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube, or the follow button if you're watching on Facebook, so you can keep up with future episodes and happenings. I'm going to close things out tonight by replaying the intro video from the beginning because it was a new video and it features several members of the Kitty Cat Go community. Thank you to everyone who submitted videos to be included. There were so many amazing submissions. I wish I could have included them all, but I had to narrow it down. And here's a shout out to all the kitties who were featured. There is Adami the Abbey, Frederick the Boat Kitty, Hairless Lil Beans, Oakley Dokley, Adventuresome Cats, Alice Cat Wonderland, Our Wonderlust Cat, Willow in Charge, and the Robin's Nest Atlanta. Thank you again for hanging out with us tonight. I hope you learned something new and had some fun. Happy adventuring, everybody.